It's pretty clear to me that AI is going to be one of the most transformative technologies that our species has ever encountered. That's a double-edged sword, right? AI is a tool, very, very, very intelligent tool. Any tool can be used for good or can be used for bad. Fire can warm your house, cook your meals, keep you fed, or can burn you to death. Our mantra in our company, with how easy it is to use AI today, is outcomes over outputs. We got to get our customers outcomes, not just outputs from AI. Outputs are great and they're fascinating and they're fun. It's almost like a really cool, novel toy. And if you use it right, it can be very powerful. But man, if it didn't move the needle in your business, if it didn't get the click, the open, the demo, the lead, the call, the sale, then what's the point?
Guys, help me welcome the one and only Joe Stolte. How you doing, man?
I'm doing amazing, man. It's been a good start to the day.
Oh man, dude, I'm super excited to talk to you. You guys are leading the way with a brand new AI technology. And I know AI is like a buzzword and some people are scared of it. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Some people don't know what to think about it. Before we kind of break down kind of what you guys are doing, I'd love to know a little bit about kind of how you got into the AI world and why you think it's, going to change things.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So it's interesting. Like, I didn't realize this at first, but we've all been in the AI world for the last couple decades. Everything from the way that Netflix recommends movies to us, or that Amazon recommends products, or even if you have an iPhone or an Android device, you take a photo. You're not actually taking a photo; you're taking like 10 photos, and then AI stitches it together. And I'm like a nature guy. I love like sunrises and sunsets and nature and God's creation and all that stuff. And I like full moons. And one night I was out with a friend. And he had an Android device, I had an iPhone, and we both took pictures of the moon. My picture came out like crap, and his picture came out amazing because Google came out with an AI algorithm to make the moon look better when you take a picture of it. So in some ways, like I've always been in, and I think many of us have been in a certain form of AI, which we call machine learning. But where I really went down the rabbit hole is in 2021. I was on my 5th company, and we were getting ready to sell it. And we'd done tremendously well during the pandemic, and I had another kid on the way. I was like, hey, from a season of life perspective, I probably got one more 0 to 1 tech company in me. So I want to do it again. So at that, the backstory there is that company was actually a compliance B2B software, selling compliance software to the legal cannabis market. And even though we were software and we never touched the plant, we couldn't buy ads and we couldn't really post on social media. So we had to find a way to reach our customers. And so what we did is use direct mail, email, and a really great customer-centered sales team. And I got to really rediscover the power of email. So my gateway down the AI rabbit hole, ironically, was through one of the oldest technologies that we've had on the internet, which was email. And so when I sold that company, I was telling my coach, who's amazing, is a guy named Brian Franklin. He's coached like Reid Hoffman and a bunch of other Silicon Valley founders. And I said, hey man, I'm looking for my next thing, maybe something with AI and marketing, if I could be so bold to put that into the universe. And he's like, hey man, be careful what you wish for. And he introduced me to my business partners now, Dr. Peter Diamandis and Evan Pagan, who had this like prototype for an email news feed. I'll just call it a thing. It wasn't quite a product. It didn't have customers. It wasn't in the market. I met them, I fell in love with the product. And then that was kind of the beginning of my journey, way back in 2021 of getting to know all things AI, especially as it intersects with like marketing and influence and being able to influence your marketplace. Yeah,
dude, I love that. It's interesting. I was just thinking, people are always talking, they put a lot of, I'll give you an example. I've got a client of ours. So we began about 6 months ago helping thought leaders basically monetize their business. We didn't realize at the time that most thought leaders never really truly monetize. And they burn through cash for 4 or 5 years and then basically throw in the towel, assume it's not for them. And meanwhile, a great message goes to the wayside, unfortunately. So we stumbled into this, and then we realized that a lot of folks, when we were working with them, they were like really into social media. It's like, well, how do I get more organic followers? How do I get the likes and the comments and my engagement up and all this kind of stuff? And I was like, you do realize that your email database is far more worth your time and energy to develop than it is for your social media stuff. What are you talking about? It's brand, it's recognition. I'm like, yeah. And if you say one thing that the algorithm or the organizations disagree with, you lose the platform overnight, or you get shattered. Like there's a lot of different ways in which you can lose out on what you think is an asset. However, your email list, on the other hand, is always an asset. Now, obviously you're scrubbing it and you want, and the other thing I was trying to get them convinced to is you actually want unsubscribes. You don't want people on your email list because you're paying for each of those, typically paying with most of the providers, each of those folks for the different things. And as we're walking through this, I stumbled my way into kind of like, okay, what are the ideal metrics? What is the open rate? What's the click-through rate? What's the conversion rate? Like, what are you trying to get to? And so when I began to study kind of what you guys are doing, I was blown away just by the open rate percentage, which obviously trickles down into conversions, right? So you guys literally doubled based. I think you guys are between 40 and 60%, depending on kind of where you're at. 40% is double what I'm currently getting in an email open rate.
Yeah,
so I want to know how you're doing it because I want to work with you myself. Just put it out there.
Great. Yeah, look, I think big picture, like us aside, I think it's really like my friend and mentor, Jay Abraham, famous marketer. He said something that has always stuck with me. He's like, hey man, you got to get everything you can from everything you've got. Yeah. So if your gift is like social media and you love putting in the hours and hours and hours of time to make content and test the algorithm and figure out what will resonate and what won't, then amazing. Like that's your lane, do it. The reality of our world from a technology meets business meets marketing perspective is you have two kinds of data. You have third-party data, you have first-party data.
Yeah.
Third-party data is going away, right? Google is getting rid of cookies this year. iOS 14 completely changed the way people do third-party advertising on Facebook. The targeting is completely different now. Is it effective still? Yeah. Can you still reach people through social media? Yes. The trend, though, for the future, for the next like 12 to 36 months is going to be first-party data. It's going to be people that have said, hey, I want to have a relationship with you. I want to communicate with you. Let's do that. And so that looks like collecting emails and collecting SMS, getting people into your WhatsApp groups, your whatever, your Slack, your Discord, whatever it is. It's that direct marketing, communication, and relationship. That's what's going to become more and more popular, as these algorithms push people towards first party. And to your point, the sad part about social media or building kind of a party, building your party at someone else's house is they can kick you out anytime they want, right?
Yeah.
They change the rules. It's their place, right? It's their dome. They built the dome. They're the king or queen of that dome, and you have to play by their rules. And so what I love about email and SMS is I have a little bit more freedom and control over my own destiny. If I want to communicate with my marketplace, I can do that. If the platform doesn't like me, I get to take my list with me and go to another platform that plays by my rules. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's why we love email, and I'll tell you a little bit about us, but I'll tell you why we really love email. Email still has more daily active users than any single social media platform. 4.65 billion people are doing stuff with email every single day. Why? Because, it's the oldest it's one of the oldest communication technologies on the internet. Yeah. And I like to give these keynotes all over the country, and I'll say, hey, I'm talking to business owners, entrepreneurs, executives. I'll say, raise your hand if you use email in your business. Every hand goes up. And I'll say, keep your hand in the air if you use TikTok. Like 95% of hands go down. And I'm definitely picking on TikTok, but it's just the fact of our reality is that everybody still uses email in their business. Yeah. And so do everything that you can to get any edge that you can. But to your point about thought leaders, speaking specifically to the people that you work with, the game is leverage. Where can we get leverage? Where can we use tools and technology and automation? And more importantly, where can we change our business model so that we can get leverage for the time expended, for the dollars returned? We work with a lot of thought leaders on the Daily.ai, everybody from Chris Voss to Dan Sullivan, Joe Polish. I mean, we even work, this is not an endorsement for or an indictment of, but we work with Robert Kennedy Jr., the presidential candidate. He's a customer. We work with, lots of different thought leaders, Tony Robbins, Peter Diamandis, my business partner. And so we get to see into their businesses. And I'll tell you what, a lot of the best ones have figured out that if they're going to go do something that's crazy time intensive from a leverage perspective, that's going to cost a lot of money. In-person keynote, anything like that. Because like the old model was like, hey, I'm going to become a thought leader, and the way you make your money, it's kind of like a band going on tour. The old Tony Robbins model where he's basically on tour all day, every day until he loses his voice pretty much completely, right? Yeah. And so, but the new model is, like coaching or creating group trainings and these kinds of things. Those are much higher leverage. Yeah. The same principle applies in your marketing, right? Like you could go out and do a bunch of things in your marketing, and I encourage that. But what we love is like, what just works? What can you invest in where it's either someone else doing it for you or your team member doing it for you, and it
Yeah.
actually moves the needle in your business. Our mantra in our company, with how easy it is to use AI today, is outcomes over outputs. We got to get our customers outcomes, not just outputs from AI. Outputs are
Yeah.
great and they're fascinating and they're fun. It's almost like a really cool, novel toy. And if you use it right, it can be very powerful. But man, if it didn't move the needle in your business, if it didn't get the click,
Yeah.
the open, the demo, the lead, the call, the sale,
Yeah.
then what's the point, right?
Yeah.
But what we do, and the secret sauce of Daily.ai, is at a basic level, we help entrepreneurs and business owners build AI automated email newsletters. And what's special about them is every time one of your subscribers goes in and opens the email, it's actually learning what they're doing, and it's adapting the subject line, the time that the email is sent, and the content in the newsletter to make it better and better and better. The reason why that's important is because I like to say there's three forms of truth, right? There's what the company thinks the market wants.
Yep.
There's what the market says that they want, and then there's what they actually click on. So we pay attention to all three, but the third one is the one that's the most important if you want to get them to come back for more. And in order to do that on your own, you'd have to pay like a data scientist or a data person to go literally watch what they're doing and use sophisticated machine learning or data science to sort of figure this out. So we built an awesome algorithm that just goes and scrapes the world's information, grabs the best thought leaders, the best content, the stuff that resonates with your audience the most. And then we've put that in the form of a news feed and a newsletter. And we send that to your audience and we make it better the more they click and engage it.
Yeah.
And the best part about it is like, it's literally a done for you experience. Like you don't even have to look at the software if you don't want to. You just get an email that's like, hey, here's this week's edition. Do you have any changes? You want to add any more new ads or anything? Okay. Our new content. And then it just gets done and then it gets sent and you get clicks and opens. But that's how we get great open rates. We get great open rates because of two reasons. One, we're very good at getting email into the inbox.
Yeah.
That's it. Like there's a whole, with all these new algorithm change, just getting it delivered in the primary inbox is like science and an art.
Yeah.
And the second thing is once it's in there and they open it, we make sure that we give your people more of what they want, right? Like what's in it for them is more important than what's in it for you, right?
For sure. Yeah, no, I think it's awesome. In fact, one of the things that's really difficult to do, I think with any business, doesn't have to be personal development or thought leadership. It could be anywhere from technology companies to construction companies, is developing trust.
Yeah.
And Guy Kawasaki says all the time that Steve Jobs told him specifically that the customer doesn't always know really what they want. Because if you ask the customer what they want, they're going to say, I want it, faster, quicker, cheaper, essentially.
Yeah.
And then a true innovator goes and figures out what the behavior patterns are and then solves another greater or larger problem within that behavior pattern. And that's one of the reasons I like what you guys are doing, because I'm very intrigued by it. As someone who's been in the thought leadership world for almost 10 years now, trying to develop my own brand and all kinds of things that come with it, right? Developing trust is always the most difficult part, I think, in coming out of the journey, because I can pop on social media, I can pop on Instagram or Facebook or wherever and say, hey, okay, guys, tell me what your greatest problem is, right? Thinking I'm going to try to come up with a great solution for them in the form of a free gift or some kind of resource that they can digest and make their lives better. Most people can't even articulate it. What I think sets you guys apart is that basically with the AI and the algorithms that are built into everything, when you go out and scrub all the content, you're finding out from the masses kind of what the pain points are, what the pivot points are. You're going out and basically coming up with various solutions that then can be translated through that brand's voice or that company's voice in a way that helps, basically move the needle, which I think in turn helps someone like myself or other business leaders develop content or develop products and resources and stuff like that are actually valuable, and I think in the grand scheme of things, one of the things that we believe here at our organization is serving at scale. Like we believe we legitimately want to serve at scale. We don't believe in selling. We believe in servanthood. And we believe if you serve well, income always follows, right? Because to your point, it's outcome generated. How can I get that person the result? How can I get them that pain point to go away? How can I elevate kind of their life, their business, their career? And that's one of the things I love about the process. To help me understand a little bit about the natural evolution of maybe AI in general, and then AI also as it wraps up into the newsletter functionality. Because I'm truly very interested in the functionality. I was very excited to hear about it.
Absolutely. I'll just comment quickly on something you just said. Right? If Henry Ford would have asked his customers what they wanted, they would have asked for a faster horse.
Yeah.
they never would have got the car, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's because you can't read the label from inside the bottle. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what's possible. If you don't spend your time thinking about the future and recruiting people to build the future, then, you just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You also said something about trust that we find is consistently at the core of what we do as well. We like to say that consistency creates trust and trust creates transactions.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
We know that if our customers could wave a magic wand, that they wouldn't need a newsletter. They certainly wouldn't need an AI newsletter. They just would go right to trust.
Yeah.
So what we want to try to do is be the most frictionless vehicle, better, faster, cheaper than a human team, to create a mechanism for them to create trust.
Yeah.
Just from showing up over and over and over, monthly, weekly, daily, if you want to, with your news feed to your marketplace. It's like giving them a big hug and saying, hey, I want to give you cutting edge information in an area that I know is important to you and important to my relationship with you. And I'm going to do that for you all the time. You don't have to do anything for me. I'm just going to do that for you. That's the kind of consistency that creates trust. Because at the end of the day, like no matter how good your product or service is, we live in a very busy world.
Yeah.
Back in the late 80s, Al Reese and Jack Trout wrote a book called Positioning, which I recommend everybody read. It's a timeless book. And they said that at that time that they thought that we were living in the most over-communicated society in the planet, like in the history of the world.
Yeah.
That was 1989, man. It's 2024. Like, where are we now?
Now you got 2 seconds to get the attention.
Yeah, no, maybe even less. And so you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So just showing up every day and say, I'm here to help. 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 That's not going to hurt your trust. That's going to increase your trust. That's what I mean by the consistency.
Yeah.
But you had asked about, where is AI going and how does that sort of evolve into this newsletter space? I think there's two main benefits that the overarching technology that we call AI is going to bring to us as business owners, as entrepreneurs. The first one is personalization and the second one is automation. So we're going into a world where the cost of content is going to zero. It's very easy to generate content with AI. And we're also very quickly going into a world where a form of AI called machine learning, the cost to be able to operate a machine learning model has come down. The sophistication required to run a machine learning model is coming down. And what machine learning allows you to do is look at data and find patterns. So what does that mean for your business? That means that marketing is going to go from one to many to the perfect segment of one to one.
Yeah.
I'm going to give someone the right content over the right channel with the right message and the right offer right when they need it so that I can actually engage them where they want to be engaged. I think that a stat that I like to share often that most people don't know is that 40% of the content that you put into the marketplace actually pushes a prospect away from the sale because it's the wrong channel, the wrong time, the wrong message, or the wrong offer.
Yeah.
Well, 3 of those 4, everything but the offer, is mostly solvable with math. Machine learning is a form of computational math to help you figure these things out. So that's the future. Everything is going to get personalized and everything is going to get sub-segmented down to one from a marketing perspective. That's one set of trends. The next trend that I think everybody should be aware of is we're going to be going up the curve of the multimodal experience curve. What does that mean? Today, for the last about year and change since OpenAI came out with ChatGPT, which was the fastest, most adopted product in the history of at least our recorded history. They got 100 million users in record time, right? But it was text. You type text in, you get text out. That's the bottom of the multimodal curve. The next one is voice, right? So you can use tools like 11 Labs. You can clone your voice. That darn near perfect, like 5 nines of perfection.
Yeah.
And you can go my voice to your voice, your voice to my voice, or text to my voice, right? And then the next evolution, that's going to be video. So we're going to go text, audio, video. So if you've seen tools like Sora from OpenAI, they're generating like 4K realistic movies just from a text prompt. 10 or 15 seconds of it. That product's not available to the marketplace, but there's a handful of these tools that are extraordinary where you can go in and do just create videos from thin air, from text. And so what's going to happen, I think, with this is from a practical marketing perspective is right now you can duct tape these things together, but there'll be products and services, and hopefully we're one of them because this is on our roadmap where you can send let's say someone just signs up for your coaching practice or your course, right? You can send them a video message that's like, hey, Dave, thank you so much for joining the course. I saw that This was your biggest challenge or challenges with XYZ. Well, look, in our course, we have a module that covers that exactly. I just wanted to tell you you're in the right place at the right time. And I'm so thankful that you're here. I'm excited to learn from you. I'm excited for you to learn from us and ultimately transform yourself and your business. Welcome to the course. Here's what I'd love you to do to get started. And that's like a text message, really short video, but that's all AI. It's not even you, right? You will collaborate in creating that message, you or your team, but it's, personalized, real time, automatically, that kind of stuff, right? SMS, voice notes, videos, all that kind of stuff. So that's where I think this stuff is going, is we're going to have highly personalized C3PO style videos, reaching out to our customers for us and as us.
Dude, I love that. It's interesting. You brought up a couple of friends, Tony and Dean and Brendan, are all working on AI tools that allow you to have direct access to them without having access to them. Like being able to have the ability to ask them on a question on the fly, on the demand. And I don't want to steal their thunder because I know they're in the process of rolling it out. But it's interesting to me that the technology exists to be able to scrub data in large quantities, terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of data in seconds, and pull together and stitch together the right kind of materials and content, to kind of like really kind of shift the needle or move the needle. What do you think maybe the greatest hurdles that stand in front of not just your organization, but in AI in general in adoption? Because obviously, I was literally hearing a video yesterday about, how the CIA has got a program they're creating. It's basically Skynet from Terminator 2 and all this kind of stuff. So you've got like both voices, like, no, AI is awesome. It's super helpful. And then, we as the humans, we can keep it under control and we can take care of things. And the other side, no, AI is completely out of control. It's going to crush the world, So I'm curious to know your thoughts on kind of where do you think the roadblocks are?
Yeah. Well, I think, first of all, AI is a tool, very, very, very intelligent tool. And any tool has a sharp side. That's a double-edged sword, right? Any tool can be used for good or can be used for bad. Fire can warm your house, cook your meals, keep you fed, or can burn you to death, right? The wheel can get you from place to place or it can run you over.
Yeah.
Let's use a more extreme example. The atomic bomb can literally destroy our species and our planet. It's like mass suicide on a global scale. Or it can keep the amount of wars that we've had, the serious wars that we've had, to an all-time low for over 100 years.
Yeah.
Depending on your perspective. And that's the main thing, is it's your perspective. I was talking to a friend and, of course, one of our customers, Dan Sullivan, who runs Strategic Coach. And we were in a mastermind group together that Joe Polish runs called Genius Network. And he said something really fascinating. It's last year, 2023, beginning of the year, everybody's talking about AI. ChatGPT had just come out. And everybody kind of had these really strong opinions and high conviction rate of exactly what the future was going to look like. And here's what it is. It's good or it's bad. And Dan said something that I'll never forget. He basically said that as a species, as humans, like, we're really, really, really bad at predicting the future. Like a very small percentage of us are okay at it and we make a fortune off of it. But for the rest of us, the 99.9% of us, we're just bad at predicting the future. But what we're great at is we're meaning making beings. We're great at creating meaning and attaching that meaning. So anytime someone has a really high conviction about the future, and they're basically telling you it's going to be exactly like this, that's just a meaning they've attached to what's happening today. And they're basically selling you or marketing to you on the meaning they've attached to something. I think the most important thing inside of this is, like, man, think for yourself. Have the courage to think for yourself. Like, do the research, draw your own conclusions, and don't listen to what the talking heads say. Even what I say about what's coming in the future, man, it's just a best guess. I live and breathe this stuff, but I'm wise enough to know that, man, it's a best guess. Like, anything could happen tomorrow, and I've been wrong more times than I've been right. It's part of my job as CEO of an AI company to guess where the puck is going so that we can get there faster. And I don't know. The short answer is I don't know. And if I had to make my best guess, I would say that AI, it's pretty clear to me that AI is going to be one of the most transformative technologies that our species has ever encountered. Not dissimilar to electricity. If you think about back in the day, how much electricity changed everything, it created tremendous new business models, tremendous opportunities, completely changed our species in the way that we do everything from how we communicate, how we travel, how we interact with each other, all of that. The wonderful, crazy amount of technology that we've been able to build is mostly born out of electricity. AI will be similar, right? And there'll be an early innings season where it's going to create tremendous amounts of value. It's certainly going to put people's jobs out of the way.
Mhm.
But the same way that electricity put people's jobs out of the way. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we like think about it, like back in the day, there was cameras without electricity. Then we got the digital camera, then we got the phone. Do you
Yeah.
think there's more photographers or less photographers now, though? There's probably
Yeah.
more because everybody's got a phone and everybody's kind of a photographer, right?
Yeah.
So I think it'll create value and it will destroy value. And I think whether you are on the side of destroyed or created value is going to be directly proportionate to your willingness to
Yeah.
adopt new things, to embrace new tools. So, and fundamentally, I'm an optimist. I'm more of like in the camp of, let's say, Kevin Kelly, the editor in chief of Wired magazine. He's a futurist. He's just very optimistic about it. And because he's a very optimistic person, like I'm an entrepreneur, man. Like I run around the world seeing opportunity all day. So
Yeah.
for me,
Me too,
AI
buddy.
just a
I have an
tremendous
idea about
tool,
every
man.
15 seconds. So
Yeah,
it's interesting. You know, I was just thinking that a couple of different things. So first of all, um, AI is a wave that's coming. So there's nothing at this point that's going to stop it from being integrated into the marketplace and a lot of aspects of life. You mentioned people losing jobs. I would say for those that don't get prepared in the AI space, there's a potential of losing a job. What I mean by that is actually heard you say on another podcast um, that essentially companies are going to have AI specialists. So why not take whatever job you're working at now, study up and become the AI specialist that gets hired on? And I assume that AI specialist will not be a low income job. You know, somebody has to your point, has to know where the puck's going. Somebody's got to be in the game to kind of say, okay, well, this is new technology. This is where this technology stands. This is where this technology stands after testing. This is where this technology stands after further testing. This is where I think we should have an early adoption program. You know, I was hoping you could speak on that for a little bit because I find that is a major shift in the marketplace, and that's a mental shift for people in the marketplace. So you can either surf the wave or you can drown under the water, from my perspective.
yeah, that's it, man. It's all about adaptability. I think our species didn't get here without adapting a lot to a lot of things. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, though, you're right. My business partner, Dr. Peter Diamandis, likes to say that in 10 years, there'll be two kinds of companies, those that are using AI and those that are going out of business.
Yeah.
I think that number is probably more like 5 years, if you ask me.
Probably
And
3.
he might have said that a few years back too. So, but it's true. And it's not just having an AI evangelist in your company to tell you where the puck is going. That's very important. Needs to be an AI evangelist in your company to tell you where the puck is today. Where's the low hanging fruit where from the executive team to management team to the individual contributors, where can we all be saving 1 to 2 days a week of work so that we can reinvest that time into high leverage activities?
Yeah.
High leverage meaning things that are generating revenue, serving the customer, advancing the product or service, getting a little bit better, doing market research, and then spending more time in our zone of genius.
Yeah.
And so right now today, we've looked at this a ton, and I'll tell you why. Depending on what study you look at, you know, MIT did a study last year that showed that up to 40% of knowledge workers' work can be enhanced or eliminated based on tools that are available today, right now, right?
Wow.
And depending on the study you look at, you know, McKinsey said that up to 60% of certain roles and activities from a knowledge work perspective can be augmented, accelerated, automated, or replaced by AI.
Yeah.
And so we know that that's the trend and that's where it's going, but you don't really need to wait for anything to come. It's already here. It's already changing so fast and it's already here. So for a long time, you know, we've helped hundreds of organizations now adopt AI into their marketing through our AI email newsletters. And pretty much every day we were getting the request, hey, where can I go to learn about other AI tools and how else can I use AI in my business? We love the way you guys think about this. And I honestly did not have a trusted resource to send them to actually take them and their staff to go from, hey, I'm an absolute beginner to I want to not just understand these tools, but I want to become an evangelist inside of my organization to help other people with these tools.
Yeah.
With the express goal, again, outcomes over outputs of saving 1 to 2 days of time per week. Yeah. And so literally last week, we launched a course called mastergame.ai. And that's the exact purpose of that course. It's just, it's a 12 weeks of live training where we take you through the most basics of the basics. We help you baseline where you're at. How are you spending your time in your role? Which of those activities are most likely to be automatable with AI? Then we take you through a journey where it's literally everything: ChatGPT, Bard, Gemini, how to clone your voice, how to clone your video, how to make chat bots to accelerate customer service and sales, bunch of stuff. So we'll go from the beginnings to the more advanced. Not because there are I just couldn't find somebody out in the world that was teaching this stuff that I trusted, that I knew. So we just, what they say, as an entrepreneur, if you can't find it, build it.
That's
so
right.
so we just launched that in the marketplace, and that's not our core business model. It's literally just because we want to be of service to our market, because they're starving for the things are changing so fast that they don't have anywhere to go to keep up or even catch up. And so we wanted this to be like the home to learning applied AI in your business, not theoretical AI, not ivory tower AI, not watching, Matt Wolf or one of these guys on YouTube. And those guys are all amazing. They make amazing content. God bless them. We wanted to create a tool or a training experience where you can actually learn how to apply it in your business today in all aspects of your business, depending on where you're at. So we just launched that. That's how serious we think this is.
Where do we find that again?
You can go to www.mastergame.ai, and and check it out. It's a year's worth of training for a very, very inexpensive cost compared to the time you'll save going through it. So
I'll be honest with you. So historically, if you look at a bell curve on early adoption versus lagger, right? So you've got people kind of all over the space. But I historically with technology, I'm an early adopter. I'm somewhere in the middle of the bell curve with AI because I didn't know where to start. I just legitimately didn't know where to start. It started when this became more and more public. It was, okay, well, just type something in the chat GPT for fun, see what pops out. And then next thing you know, I'm hearing, we've got this AI tool that will build website copy that, has a conversion rate of X. We've got this over here. We've got this, digital video version of yourself, right? That doesn't look like it's just your face with with just the lips talking, they had overlaid back in the day, so there's for me, I'm just speaking for me, and I would assume there's more people in my camp than not. I don't know where to start. So I love the fact you got the master of the game at .ai, because I need to know more. I know that's where the puck is going. And I know to your point, if we don't start adopting more AI tools consistently in our business, will we be substantially further behind than a lot of folks in this industry, specifically thought leadership, personal development, business development, than a lot of folks that are adopting AI. So I first of all, thank you for creating that, honestly, because for someone like myself, I didn't have any clue where to go. No clue where to go. I am curious.
And the math is simple. I mean, if you just peg $1 per hour figure to your time, let's say you value your time at $100,000 a year, and certainly hopefully you value your time much more than that. That's $50 an hour. If you can save 1 day a week, 8 hours a day, that's 20 grand a year. Over a 50-week work year. That's $20,000. And it's not just in the hard savings and time. It's imagine the priceless opportunity to put yourself 1 day a week squarely in your zone of genius. How much joy does that bring you? How much more of service can you be to the world? And how much more can you enjoy your life and your work, right? And unfortunately, for most of us, our work is our life. And I don't want to be the guy that tries to change your mind on that, but maybe we can give you some tools to be able to put you more and make that more enjoyable, so the time you have on this planet can be more in service and more enjoyable. So that's kind of our mission with this course. I'm teaching myself and our CTO, Morgan McDermott, who's been building AI tools for a very long time, for Dr. Peter Diamandis, myself, and a bunch of other people. We'll be teaching the course, for the first couple cohorts. Eventually, we're going to clone our video and our voice just like we teach in the course. But for now, it's us. It's live. You jump in, fill out a survey. If you have questions, we have live Q&As, forums. I mean, it's going to be a very hands-on experience. Because we want to figure out that right strike zone of what do people want and how do we serve them the best. So we're excited about it. Again, it's not our core business, but it really lights us up to be helpful. So
no, dude, I love it. It's interesting. You had a lot of really successful businesses that you exited, right? I'm curious to know what experience you have there that you brought into the marketplace. I know that I've heard you talk about briefly before, just how you go to market. There's a traditional way to go to market, and then obviously in the tech space, there's a different way of going to market. I'm curious to know what types of tools and insights and resources you brought from kind of your previous experience into this new business model.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just say, man, I've failed more times than I've succeeded, and I've definitely learned way more from my failures. As cliche as that sounds, I'm proud of it because I've done the work to stop and go, okay, that one didn't work. What do we need to do to make it better?
Yeah.
And I'll say that, and I'll talk a little bit about the differences of how we've learned to grow companies. But the underlying principle is that I got detached from my business and the emotions to it. And I started looking at it more like a detached scientist running experiments,
Mm-hmm.
more like that, less like this is my baby. And if it fails, the world is over.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, things are changing so fast. It's about speed and iteration and figuring out
Mm-hmm.
what's working and tinkering. Because what worked even like 3 months ago may not be working right now in a variety of different
Yeah.
contexts. So you constantly need to test and look at the data and what's working, what's not. Okay, double down on that. Like, okay, that one's not working anymore. What can we change? So it's this constant cycle of, create, deploy, assess, repeat. And so that to me is the underlying mechanism. But to answer your question, the things that I identified some differences. What I love to do is look across industries and say, oh, this is working in that industry. I wonder if it will work over here.
Yeah.
And so, I started looking at the differences. I love direct response marketing. Since like the early 2000s, I've been studying copywriters and copy. You can see in the background here, I've got the Boron letters, and next to that is a book called it's a Bill Burnbach's book.
Yeah.
I think it's called The History of Advertising That Changed the History of Advertising. I just love studying marketing because like I love being a student to what works, and like so many great minds have come before me. But also I, kind of started my entrepreneurial career in Silicon Valley. And so I studied like they call it growth hacking or go to market. We call it sales and marketing. They call it growth hacking, go to market.
Yeah.
And what I found was in Silicon Valley is they were basically for years, and in some respects are still the same. Like they care deeply about the product, right? Like it's called product-led growth. So the product is so good, it grows itself. You remember when you came on Facebook, it was like, add 12 friends in 7 days. And that's how they knew they got you.
Yeah.
If you use Slack, they know if you send 2,000 messages, that's kind of the aha moment, and you won't leave, and you'll invite all your team members. And so the product kind of grows itself.
Yeah.
You don't have to go out and buy ads or do sales and marketing. Whereas when I looked into my direct response marketing friends, they thought about it very differently. They were very much about marketing and finding ways to grab your attention and convert that into money.
Yeah.
And so, on one side, but on the flip side, a lot of the direct response guys, they weren't giving out products that were great. The product or service was okay, but it was just good enough to not violate the promise they made in the marketing, where the inverse was true in Silicon Valley. So I said, well, what happens if we combine both?
Yeah.
What if we have phenomenal sales and marketing and great products that promote themselves because they're so good, and our customers want to refer them to other people? Well, when you combine those two things, man, then it goes back to that first principle, the J. Abraham, you can get everything you can from everything you've got. And all those things are really high leverage. So if I learn how to effectively figure out the message market match, the words that sell, that grab people's attention and get them to take money out of their bank account and put it into yours. And then I follow up with the best possible, most innovative, thoughtful, iterative product that I can put into the marketplace. That feels like a much better place from a scientific perspective to architect my own success. And so, even doing that though, and knowing that we haven't always succeeded, but that's been my big takeaway. I'm on my 6th company. We've had 3 exits, and some were fantastic and some were a little bit smaller. And like I said, I've failed more times than I've succeeded. But the point is I was able to keep going. Yeah. Like I never stopped. I kept that process of iterating, deploying, assessing, and repeating, and just trying to figure out, hey man, what's working? Like I meet guys all the time. I'm 41 years old at the time of this recording, and I meet guys that are in their early 20s, like my new friend Michael Humphreys, he's just the king of freaking viral organic social. He can take anybody, and he's hacked everything, like all the codes. He knows exactly how to take your message and stick it into the slipstream of virality across TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. He recently, for example, but my point is I'll work with guys like that because I'm like, hey, what can I learn from you? I've not gone down that rabbit hole, and he has. So I've learned a lot from him on that. He took another friend of ours named Peter Thomas, who's a wonderful, wonderful man. Pretty sure he's in his late 70s or 80s at this point, and just took over Peter's Instagram. I think it's called the 1 Minute Mentor, if you can find him on Instagram. And man, like every time I go back and look at I think he had like 2,000 followers. Now he's at like 80 or 100. He's got multiple reels that have multiple millions of views. Wow. And that's just a world that, I just don't understand that world. But Michael allows me to make it understandable. And I am humble enough to go, man, as the detached scientist that just wants to reach people and be of service and get everything I can from everything I've got. I'm gonna go humble
Yeah.
myself and just sit at the altar of Michael and be like, bro, tell me what to do,
Let's
man. Like
go.
what's the magic? And he's been so giving and helpful to me. But now his business is crushing. He's got a huge wait list and he's just blowing up and I'm so proud of him. But like, that's the point, is like, I'm not afraid to go and learn new things and dive in and find the expert, regardless of where they're at in their journey. If they know more than me and they're 10
Yeah.
yards up the football field, man, like I want to figure out how they got there and model them and rewind it and see what applies to my situation.
Yeah. No, I think I think one of the outside the AI tools and stuff like that. And I'm seriously, when I say this, I'm very interested in what you're doing for our business. Um, One of the things that I've picked up from this conversation specifically, is the principle of detachment. I've built and exited a company last year over the course of 25 years, founded it from a trash pile, drove the first nail and this kind of thing, and built it to a good sized company and exited. And I can tell you, I was definitely the entrepreneur, at least the first decade of that business, where it was very, very much like, don't touch it, it's mine. Don't break it. Don't mess this thing up, right? And it took me some time to actually learn the principle of detachment. And the
Yeah.
principle of detachment it allows you to tap the shoulders of the experts in the room. It also allows you to be a voice at the table surrounding other experts, right? So if you're like, you're the expert in this new field, I'm sure he can tap you on the shoulder. All right, so I got all these, I'm doing all this great content. I'm changing lives this way. How do I serve them using what you do? Right.
Yeah.
The spirit of collaboration and compounding, or some would say leverage. Dude, I just think it's amazing.
Yeah, man. I mean, and I think it's important because most things you do don't work,
Mm-hmm.
right? If every marketing piece you put out convert at 51% or greater, like I think the scientific word for that is a freaking miracle.
Yeah.
I mean, but like most, like if you get like a 15 or 20% conversion, like that's amazing.
Yeah.
But that still means 80 or 85% of the people couldn't be bothered, right? So
Yeah.
like, so yeah, most things just don't work. So, but look, there's so many routes to success in the game of business, like you look at a guy like Grant Cardone or Andy Elliott, if you've heard of these guys, and man, like they're just like the opposite of what I'm saying. They're so attached and so passionate and they're just like all in, come hell or high water, we're going to make it work. And I love and appreciate that. And I love that there's so many ways to do this dance. But for me, I love this. I'm curious, man. Like I'm curious and I know what it's like. I used to be an artist. I know what it's like to be attached to your work and have it be ripped
Yeah.
from you or have it not go the way you want. And it's devastating. And I've learned a lot from that. I've also just learned that like there's a time to fall in love. What at this point with Daily.ai, like I'm fully in love. We were fortunate to pass. We went from roughly 0 to 1.1 million in annual recurring revenue in about a year. And we've got a few things working. I'm like, okay, this is a thing now. But up until that point, at any given time, if it wasn't going to work, I was like, okay, I'm ready for this thing to be done. If it doesn't need to exist in the world.
Yeah.
And I just found that for me personally, like that's been that detachment has been a useful way to keep my thinking sober. But man, like everything in its excess becomes its opposite. So you have to balance it out with the passion and the attachment at the appropriate time. So I just wanted to put that nuance out there. Nothing is ever as simple as like one right way thinking. There's always lots of perspectives and ways to attack a problem.
Well, dude, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show, man. I really appreciated it. There was so much we could have gotten out of today's conversation, and I'd love to have you back on and talk about some other things in the future. Because I do love your work. I also love your approach to business.
Thanks, man. Happy to come back.
And like seriously, no, I mean, I totally resonate with your direction of kind of what you think a business should be built on. That's how I build my businesses, and I'm sure that's why our teams kind of referred us together to kind of get to know each other some. And this is really exciting, honestly.
Yeah.
And I wish you nothing but success. Again, we can talk offline about learning more about stuff. In the meantime, where can the audience go to find more about? We've got masterthegame.ai, and we've got obviously, where do we find the solution for the newsletter piece?
Yeah. If you're interested in exploring an AI newsletter for your business, you can go to daily.ai. If you're interested in having you or your team learn how to use AI to save 1 to 2 days of work a week in your business, you can go to mastergame.ai. And either one of those, I'll stop there. One of the rules of marketing is a confused mind doesn't buy, so I don't want to see too many places to go. If you Google me, Joe Stolte, I'm not hard to find. But yeah, mastergame.ai if you want to learn AI tools, and daily.ai if you want to learn more about our email product.
That's awesome. We'll of course put all the notes all the links in the show notes. Joe, thank you again, man, brother. Seriously. Thank you so much for on the show, man.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks so much.
All right, take care. I hope you liked that video. And if you did, make sure you check out this next video right here.
To me, as long as you're diversified with your mutual funds and index funds, you're not in single stocks or any kind of risky, super volatile investments, over time, that's going to go up. And if you keep watching it day after day, you're going to freak out. And so it's sort of the set it and forget it, only pull from it when you need it mentality.